Frequency forecast from Lee for October 2024. We are taking our first steps into the unknown, getting to know the unfamiliar world where we are not required to set up and fine-tune schemes, but rather constantly change ourselves. The principle of continuous changes becomes the norm of stability. The energies of October open a new chapter for innovators, and at the same time, they may become shocking for the conservative types. The very idea of a comfort zone for humanity is changing and becoming more of a comfort process rather than a place of rest. This habit of merely existing as the main idea of the collective consciousness might be somewhat of an obstacle. This habit is going away. The correct action needed to build a secure future is also disappearing. All this is collapsing at the foundation. Now the paradigm of the harmonious present is taking effect, that is, the logic of the current day's action, here and now. This is unfolding not in some hypothetical future, but in the current present. Right now, the world begins living by the new rules of the game. But as long as human minds do not understand this, they are trying to fix the antiquated street organ and somehow replay the finished game. However, even in the outside world, we started seeing confirmations. For example, even the UN has approved a plan for radical changes. While these were only the first steps set to achieve different goals, the organization will later get to the point where every person on the planet will receive equal rights, which do not depend on the coat of arms on the passport. Countries will eventually lose the dominant power over their citizens. The world is moving towards a universal international law. Citizenship will soon become only an economic factor, not a legal one. In the old paradigm, many will undoubtedly resist such changes, considering them a conspiracy of the elite. However, the modern generation of youth that only recently was being criticized for ignoring society's traditions is now gaining its strength. The collective consciousness of the generation of millennials is slowly beginning to dominate. Former players of the international multiplayer gaming tournaments will begin to play political games of a new quality. In the international arena, smaller countries are already making themselves known and declaring that they are more progressive than the great powers, both in terms of human rights and economic freedoms. Argentina and El Salvador have made such statements at the UN. They show the world how a country can change when the government reflects the desire of its population. And these countries are a real example of changes that have happened unnoticed before the eyes of the whole world. Even weather conditions on the planets of the solar system are changing, just like on Earth. Therefore, look at the climate situation not as something unknown and chaotic, but as the same process as changes in people's consciousness. The weather of the planet always reflects the processes of consciousness, whatever they may be. And at present, we are all in a galactic cycle of changes. This is also indicated by solar anomalies and unprecedented atmospheric phenomena witnessed by the civilization. Countries are changing, types of professions are changing, people's lifestyles are changing, science is changing, medicine is changing, transport, finance, and communications are changing. Everything will be changing continuously. Do not expect a point of rest. Transformation is now the norm. October is demonstrating changes everywhere, and those who are ready to be flexible and think multilaterally and non-linearly can already notice that their personal life differs from their life in the past or even contemporary way of life of conservative people. You aren't imagining. You really live in another world. And now this other world is becoming the norm. And that old one, the old world is not just disappearing, it is demonstratively destroying itself. You can mentally separate yourself from the old world, and now you can already physically observe how your world comes more and more into existence, so to speak, materialize, while the old world is turning into illusory and surreal one. October is a convenient place to observe these processes. It is also a good time to start adapting to a new pace of life. And further on, acceleration will occur. Therefore, use the current period to recognize the old and the current game, so as not to become attached to the vanishing past. The present is already surrounding you. Just look around.